for the soul. Recently, Tiffany and Company launched a marketing campaign, I guess, to lure more hip and cool or young customers in. Unfortunately, they should have hired a black, well-seasoned sales and marketing person. Here's why. The diamond that they picked for Beyonce to wear happened to have been worn by, I think, at least 5 women in history. One of which was Audrey Hepburn. So I get it. With Beyonce wanting to be aligned with that kind of stardom. However, the diamond happened to be mined in South Africa in 1877. And here lies the problem. In 1877, black people in America were still enslaved, and black people in South Africa were basically fighting to not be colonized. So that's problematic within itself. Even though the diamond is worth $30 million, and they talked about the fact that she's the first black woman to ever wear this diamond, and apparently Tiffany and Company owns the diamond. Now, Tiffany and Company, in case for those people that may not be aware, is one of those stores where if you buy a gift from there, it's considered an heirloom. Not because they, mined that diamond and all their diamonds in 1877, but simply because the name itself speaks of high class and expenses. It's very expensive to buy anything at Tiffany's. If you have anything coming from Tiffany's, number one, it's going to be expensive, and number two, expect to be able to call it an heirloom. So with that being said, it was problematic that they chose to pick this particular diamond out of all the choices of diamonds they happen to have, and then parade around talking about as if it's something great that Beyonce was the first black woman to wear this diamond in the campaign that they've launched for their company. But I digress. You have now some South African celebrities that have got wind to this campaign, and they're asking for the diamond back. They're calling it a stolen diamond. These type of diamonds used to be referred to as, and still are, blood diamonds. Because obviously, if they were mining, or that diamond was mined in 1877, black people were in the process of being colonized in South Africa, and they were fighting the Europeans to stay out of being enslaved, basically, to stay out of being slave labor, to stop them from taking over their land in South Africa. So what I really don't understand is why Tiffany chose that diamond to launch their campaign, their marketing campaign. I understand why they would choose Beyonce and JayZ, but why they chose to launch their marketing campaign with that particular diamond is remiss to me. It just lacks of cultural awareness. Some people are even asking why Tiffany still owns the diamond. Well, I think if you get a diamond and you're a diamond company and you start around 1890 or whenever Tiffany began there, Tiffany and Company is over 100 years old right now today. And a diamond, a big yellow rare diamond, is mined in 1877 in South Africa. I can see why a company like this diamond company would keep it. I understand that. But to keep it and then use it to launch a campaign is remiss. It just lacks cultural diversity and awareness, period. At the same time, a lot of people went after Beyonce because they were wondering, well, why would she even wear this diamond in this commercial that she's doing for Tiffany and Company, as if this is the greatest thing since sliced bread. And she's claiming that she did not know the diamond was actually mined in 1877 from South Africa. And I kind of believe her. I believe that Tiffany and Company came to Beyonce and them and basically said, here's a diamond that only 5 women have ever worn, one of which is Audrey Hepburn in Breakfast with Tiffany's, and this is the diamond that we want you to wear to launch our campaign. And you're probably thinking, as an American, be it black or white, oh, what an honor. Okay, and you wear it. But the company itself knew that that diamond was mined in 1877. So the problem with this entire launch that they've done is that they've just ignored cultural awareness and just decided to choose a diamond that has a colonial history, a history of enslavement, a history of oppression, because the parties that mined the diamond were South Africans, black, that were also trying to keep their land from the colonizers that came there to take it over. And we all know what happened later, after 1877. South Africa eventually became apartheid. And they weren't free until 1990. Well, actually, Nelson Mandela was not free until 1992. Let me put it that way. But it took a very long time for South Africa's freedom. But I digress. So I think that being aware of this, when you know that a company is known to have heirlooms, so that when you buy something for Tiffany and Company, it's considered an heirloom. It can be passed down to generations and generations. Then you have to do your research. Now, to come to Beyonce's aid, her mother stepped in and made a comment on her Twitter, and what her mother pointed out is very true. A lot of people, if they had to figure out where the materials in their mobile phone, or whether or not the diamond that they just purchased was sourced in a humane way, they would probably have a little bit of a trouble getting a product, especially if it's coming out of Africa and other places, for that matter, around the world, that did not have some dissension around it, possible wars, and even possibly enslavement. But I think in this particular case, in this particular situation, where Tiffany and Company knew that they were actually taking this diamond from 1877 and giving it as their launch, their marketing launch, to a black woman, Beyonce. They knew that. And I think that they basically just informed her that Audrey Hepburn wore it, and that's about it. And that's all that Beyonce really knew. But that obviously was not enough. So you kind of have to do your research sometimes. It's almost like as if you're working with a company and they're over 200 years old and they want you to advertise a vehicle, a car. You might want to know whether or not the particular truck was actually used in something inappropriate. But in this case, let's just focus on the diamond for a minute. We know that a lot of natural minerals come from Africa, period. But it's not just about the 1877. In case you were not aware, just recently, South Africa had an uprising. Once again, it's probably been a very long time, but they had a big uprising where people were looting everything everywhere. Take a look at this.
I mean, absolutely criminality on an extreme scale. So unnecessary, so uncalled for. We live in a beautiful country, and this is the we have to deal with on a daily basis. Guys,
Covered. Are you going to cover?
And after everything settled, and basically people were doing the uprising, or the way it started is because they arrested the president, the former president Zuma. And that's how the uprising began. But if you want to really dive deep, a lot of black South Africans still do not have the natural resources back in their own control. It's still controlled by those that were the colonizers. So when you look at all the looting, it's a reflection of not being able to have access to things that they should have had access to had they been able to own some of the resources that have been sold around the world, such as this diamond. Brings me back to the diamond. So while I do believe that Beyonce was unaware of this, based on the way it was introduced to her, we do know that the company that's launching the campaign was well aware of how old that diamond was in terms of when it was mined, and that it was it's a yellow diamond. And someone along the way, before they ever launched the campaign, should have said, no, that's not the appropriate diamond for you. Why don't we get a pink diamond that we mined in a very humane place or source? Because there is something called blood diamonds. And there was a big movement, I would say back in the 90s, about how these diamonds are sourced in Africa. So while I agree with Beyonce's mother when she tweets that we really don't know of all the products that we buy, be it a diamond, leather goods, everything. We don't know whether or not these products that we buy or choose to buy are sourced in inhumane conditions under possible slave labor. And we don't always do our due diligence and researching that information out. I do agree with what she said. However, I do have an issue when someone's giving you a diamond and they're clearly probably telling you that a famous movie star at one time wore the same diamond, and another movie star by the name, I believe, Lady Gaga, also wore the diamond, and about 5 other women may have worn this diamond, and you're the first black woman to wear the diamond, then you know that that product has age on it. And that's when the light should go off, and you take a look at it. So I'm not going to sit here and be critical and say that she knew, and then, because I saw some comments where people were basically stating that she knew, and now that everyone found out about it, now she wants to hide her hand. I don't think that was the case. I think that Beyonce really did not know. But at the same time, there is a sense of responsibility, because this is not just any diamond. This happens to be a diamond that was sourced in 1877, where myself, as well as many other people, if it was 1877, in the Americas or in South Africa, would either be slave labor or be enslaved. So that's an issue. I'd like to hear some of your comments and what you believe. Does Beyonce really have a sense of responsibility in terms of whether or not she should just wear any diamond, no matter how old the diamond is, where it was sourced from? Does she have a sense of responsibility? Or is Beyonce, does she have the right to wear any diamond that she wants, regardless to its history? I say that when you are a public figure and they're making a big issue that you are the first black woman to ever wear this diamond, then you better look behind the scenes to find out the history of that source. That's my comment.